So, so yeah, just a bit of framing for this, David. So we're going to be having a conversation where we're going to be practicing a conversation where someone is going to be disclosing some difficult information to us. This one is particularly going to be around where someone has maybe been harassed at the workplace. Obviously, you don't always know where these conversations are going to go, but if you're in this situation and maybe you had a feeling that this might be a conversation of that content, what you kind of thinking, feeling as you kind of approach that? You've seen a calendar invite in your inbox where someone wants to speak to you this afternoon, and you have a bit of a feeling that this is going to be a hard conversation. What do you do leading into that conversation?
Well, to begin with, I'm feeling quite anxious because if things come into your diary without explanation, you expect something to be fairly difficult. And what in these sort of circumstances runs through my mind is if the person has had a problem or is feeling that they're is being made unhappy by some kind of situation, there's a key thing, which is to make them feel okay and to make them feel that their words are respected and believed. So that's an important part of the kind of outlook that I'm taking. I'm also conversely thinking that I need to understand what actually is going on. So something around the details of what has happened without being intrusive, and also to think about reserving the position of the employer, of my employer. And there's a combination there of the duty of care, but also the fact that we are in a world where we're required legally in any event to prevent harassment, if that's what it is, from going on. So that's what's in my head.
So it's hard. It's a lot of stuff going on there, I guess, right? A lot of
well, that's right. Yeah,
factors to consider.
Yeah.
Which I guess adds to that kind of, like you said, nervousness building into the conversation is dealing with all that, right? Have you found in your experience leading into these conversations anything that has kind of helped you? Do you have any like habits or things you do? Are you a note taker? Are you?
I do take notes, and I do try and listen actively. So nodding, eye contact, as best I can, open body language to try to sound calm. I think I'm just by good luck, I tend to sound fairly calm, even though sometimes when you're listening to yourself feed back to the person, you can feel a bit hesitant. I'm not sure that individuals actually notice. The other thing that I recall from some coaching I had many years ago was a phrase, apart from confidentiality, there was a phrase I was given, which was, you must give this person unconditional positive regard. So as I said, they must be believed, but they also must feel that you care about them anyway, that you have a positive view of them.
Yeah, I love that. And it's quite hard to do, isn't it? Especially if you're in certain topics where you're trying to work what's going on, or you think you've got some holding back those judgments is hard.
That's right. And I do have a recollection, this must be 20 odd years ago, where I did have a member of staff with it. I had no problem. There was no kind of issue around harassment. It was just about difficult about working together. And we had a counselling session where I had this coaching beforehand, and unconditional positive regard really, really worked for me because it took away a lot of the conflict. And because I'd changed my language a bit, it made things much less tense, and we got a good outcome.
Amazing. And one last question: these kind of like difficult conversations, do you ever find yourself rehearsing? Like there's that sort of stereotypical thing of like standing in front of the mirror in the bathroom, sort of getting your thoughts straight. How do you like? Do you do any kind of rehearsal practice? What's that look like for you typically?
Well, I have had talk about coaching. So I have these phrases that I've kind of internalized over the years. So, and the example I think was years and years ago, probably 30 years ago, a guy who was talking to me about a situation he had, and he said, I heard this phrase, he said, and then I switched into counselling mode. And for him, counselling mode meant essentially saying back to the person, That must be very difficult. So the phrase "that must be very difficult" is a phrase that I use a lot because it's often right. And if it's not right, it's still sympathetic. And whoever you're talking to will then correct you. They might say, well, it wasn't difficult. It was just unfortunate. They'll give you an interpretation of what they've experienced, but they know that you're trying to get into their frame rather than to kind of give them an interpretation that is entirely from you, and it's just you're kind of reading the situation. So it's kind of asking for a validation of an observation, but it's not imposing it, and it's allowing people to sort of either to engage and say yes, I guess it was difficult, or to give a different nuance to what they're experiencing.
Nice.
So that's a phrase I use.
Yeah, and you've obviously practiced that enough that it's become a kind of go-to approach.
Well, I'm afraid to say I have, yeah.
Amazing, cool. All right, so what we'll do is we'll jump into the conversation now. What we'll do is, when you start the session, just have like one or two rounds, and then we'll take a bit of a pause and see where we've got to, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, right. and where we go up to. And this conversation, I guess, last thing is going to start with, "Hey, boss, you got 5 minutes." What are you thinking would be your go-to starting point of how you would respond to someone like that? Because we all know how those conversations go when someone asks for 5 minutes. It's not usually 5 minutes. What are you thinking will be a kind of initial response?
Well, yeah, let's have a chat. So you say 5 minutes, let's just see where we go. Emily is the name of the person here. I might say, "What can I do for you?" And if you've got 5 minutes, you say that's a sign that they want more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I will just say, "What can I do for you?"
Sweet, cool. All right, let's start.
Okay, so I click on Start Practice.
Yep. It might also now have some we've just added a warm up recently, so if you just click Start.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got quick warm up. Hey, do you have 5 minutes? You got 3 choices. Any of those jump out to you of what you'd do?
I'd be more likely to say yes. Sit down and tell me what's going on.
Yeah, cool.
So where do I press
just click on, yep.
Okay.
So we're gonna, if we get to a pivotal moment, so before I say who else will actually hear this? What are you gonna do? You're gonna set some limits, keep it vague, or explain how you'd handle privacy?
I think I would keep it vague, actually. So let's talk about it and I'll see what's needed. Or I might do the kind of, let's talk about it and we'll then decide what happens next. I might use a phrase which says it's a mutual thing. It's not just me taking charge. I might be sort of directing the conversation, but it's about giving the individual as much sense of, let's say, autonomy or power in the situation as is reasonable.
Yeah.
So it's actually, it's a seamless top one, in fact.
Yeah. And I think that last one, explain privacy, is a hard one because it's kind of, you need to do it, but maybe it makes it, especially early on, if it was early on in the conversation, might make it more.
Yeah, because that ups the kind of sense of let's say menace or problem.
Yeah.
And you don't, for sure, you don't want people to feel vulnerable. So in other words, one can also talk to us. It says it's just us. We're on our own. No one can hear us. But there's also stuff that says that if there's things that need attention, then we'll have to talk about what's going to happen next.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, right. So I'm going to press start session now.
Yep.
Hey, it's great to meet you. Before we begin, just some housekeeping. I'm an AI avatar, so I might occasionally do weird things. I apologize if I interrupt or talk over you. I'm open to feedback, so if you want me to do something different, please tell me. Now that's over with. I will start the conversation. Hey, do you have 5 minutes?
Hi, Emily. Yeah, by all means, come in and have a seat. Let's have a talk. What can I do for you?
Have a seat. That's, honestly, I'm not sure I can really.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Do you want to tell me what the situation is?
It's not just, I keep thinking maybe I'm making this bigger.
Maybe you're making things bigger? Can you
I know,
elaborate for
but
me?
I keep replaying it since this afternoon.
So can you tell me what's happened?
Ugh, I want to, my mind keeps jumping around, sorry.
So based on where we've got to in the conversation at the moment, what are you thinking and feeling?
Well, funny enough, it's different from the way I practiced it last time. So I'm thinking, yeah, this feels real. The person not wanting to sit down was put me off, threw me a bit, and my efforts to get her to relax and open up weren't going very well. But she just got to a point where she said, you know, I'm thinking about that. I don't know whether to talk about what to say and so on. So I want to try to find a way of encouraging her to open up without feeling that she's putting herself at risk.
Nice. So you're sensing at the moment there's a bit of hesitancy and guardedness with the actual practice partner.
Yeah, well, yes, and because I'm feeling hesitant and guarded because what's going through my head in reality, were this a real situation, was, oh my goodness, this is really bad.
Yeah.
If this spreads, I'll look like I'm causing drama.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear about that, Emily. Can you say something about how you're feeling?
Honestly, I feel pretty awful, kind of exposed, just shaky.
That really doesn't sound very good. That sounds unlike you.
Yeah, I know it's not like me. I just can't shake this. I don't want to be stuck on it, but I am.
This sounds really, really serious. So you've come to me without really being able to say very much specifically about what's happened. Tell me how you're feeling just now as we're talking.
I feel tense. Like I keep thinking I shouldn't even say anything, but it's been sitting in my gut all day.
Well, this doesn't feel very good at all. I mean, if it's been sitting with you all day and something's happened and you've come to me, then we must discuss it. And you need to get this off your chest to help you feel better. And something obviously very serious has happened. So let's just take a deep breath and see if you can tell me what has happened and why it's making you feel this way.
I get that, but other people would just laugh it off or brush it aside. I've seen it happen. It's not that easy for me, though, and I'm kind of stuck on that.
So when you say seen it brushed aside or laughed off, and what kind of thing are we talking about?
It's, well, when someone says something that's not okay, but it gets played off as a joke or just ignored. That sort of thing, where you're left wondering if you're even allowed to feel weird about it.
So something like this has happened to you today.
Yeah, something like that. I just can't get past how off it felt, even if everyone else acted like it was nothing.
Well, if it felt off to you, then it was off. There's no question. This is something that happened to you, not to just some random person. So this, as far as I'm concerned, is something that's very serious, and we need to deal with it with you.
I hear you. It's just other managers I've had, they'd have said it's not a big deal or told me to lighten up. So my brain goes straight to, am I overreacting? Is this just me?
So what are you thinking and feeling now? Like where the
Well,
conversation's gone to? I think what I've observed after our last bit of conversation, deep reflection, you kind of shifted more into I just noticed your pace kind of dropped and you did a bit more like asking questions, acknowledging. And what I noticed from the avatar is they did move closer towards you. They what did you notice and where's your head at the moment?
well, I'm thinking to myself, I'm beginning to get her to relax with me, and I'm trying not to say what has happened, but there must be a point where I'm trying to sort of rationally say, that this is a serious thing, but I need to know about it without kind of making her feel feel terrible about it. So I want to make her feel that whether other people would tell her to laugh it off or not, I won't. I'm the kind of person that wants to support the victim. And I felt I was moving towards some kind of fact that might emerge, but I didn't want to push hard because that might well drive her away.
So you're
so she might kind of say, well, she might say, "Oh, forget it, boss. Leave it with me."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I don't want that to happen. I want to stay in the conversation.
You're navigating this tricky balance of like how direct you be versus how questions. But I get the sense you're also in this mode of, I'm still unclear what's happened.
Yes, well, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is that, again, that balance of how much do you bring out there or not?
For now.
Emily, just to say, from my perspective, something really serious has happened and that you're carrying it with you. And I cannot have you leaving this room without having discussed it with me, without your understanding that I care about how you feel and I want to make things right for you in how you feel.
Okay, I hear that, but honestly, I can't just flip a switch and talk about it like it's simple. It's not that easy for me right now.
Oh, she's gone.
Oh, she's gone.
So we've just it's interesting. So we have just introduced this feature in the tool where basically the avatar can end the conversation if they feel like they don't want to progress. But it's interesting that happens because there's an interesting reflection point now on how, because this is this could be an outcome, right, from the conversation. Is what are you thinking and feeling now as a manager that's been through that conversation? You've been working with an employee that's obviously had something difficult go on, has now left the conversation. What are you thinking now?
Well, I'm sort of thinking. I'm thinking sort of a number of things. I'm thinking it was saying there are three things I didn't unlock. So bits in there that I did not say. So there's a few. It's a bit like a video game, dare I say it, but I've not got to the right level. But on the other hand, I'm thinking I now know something, but that's all I know. I know something that's made her feel really uncomfortable, and I might be inclined to say, Emily, do not go. You need to tell me what's going on, otherwise I can't do anything about it. For example, now she's saying it's difficult, so I'm sort of thinking, I'm replaying actually a situation from, again, about 20 odd years ago, where a member of my team was sexually harassed, and I was able to kind of get the conversation to a point where we had a conversation about what had actually happened and what she was feeling. So this is, having said to you how I was going to play it, this is not, it was not how I would have hoped. I've never had anyone walk out on me in a situation like this. So it's quite a novel experience.
What would you do next? Would you reach back out to them? Would you what would you do next?
Yes, I would. I would reach back out to them.
Yeah.
I would probably, I mean, I couldn't see bar the door or anything, but I think I would say something along the lines of, well, you don't feel like talking to me now. Why not come back in a few minutes and let's start again.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, or maybe I guess the other thing would be, is there someone else that they could speak to if they don't feel comfortable? It'd probably be like, as a manager, that would probably require quite a high degree of, I guess, EQ of like, actually, they might want to share, it just might not be with me. So I guess offering that actually there is, you can go and speak to another person or...
Well, it's interesting because as you mentioned that, I think to myself, I can imagine quite a few managers would wish to have that option because they would rather the problem went away and somebody else dealt with it. My view as a manager would be that if this is something unpleasant maybe potentially traumatic that happened to her during the day, it would have been in the workplace for which I'm responsible. So therefore, I am responsible. So I'm responsible for the situation that she's in, or accountable, whichever one word is. And therefore, the thought doesn't necessarily occur to me to get her to talk to somebody separate. It probably would be sensible, if it were that bad for her, and if she felt she couldn't speak to me about it, that one might suggest it. But funny enough, it didn't instantly occur to me. So I guess the other issue might be that she's female and I'm a man, and that she might not wish to talk to a man about something like sexual harassment.
Or the situation is the person involved is you're friends with them, it could be.
Or maybe, it could be a relationship,
or something like that. So yeah, let's have a look at you. Let's just do a quick review of your feedback. So 32. Interestingly, at the top, one of the tips from the session, checking directly about the employee's physical or emotional safety, is really interesting. It's come up with that tip because we obviously had that debrief partway through, which is where you were trying to figure out how direct you should be. And it's actually give you that feedback that maybe you could have been more direct to say what has happened. And
yes,
I guess that question is, are you okay and safe now?
So that's right. And are you okay? Do you feel okay at your desk or something like that?
Yeah. Which is, I hadn't really thought of that angle, but it's interesting that has actually reflected that back. Because that was obviously part of your inner monologue, right? That you were considering.
So no, what I did actually was, I maybe to get it right. I did say maybe you're making things bigger.
Yes.
It was just me repeating back to her.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get her to reflect, to say, well, I don't really know. And I said, well, let's see if we can try and. So it's given me. So I think I'm sort of thinking that's a bit. The tone of voice should have told her that this was just me reflecting back a phrase that she had used to try to get her to open up.
And that might be just our interpretation of that turn is probably not quite right, I think.
Yeah.
What about this? This doesn't feel very good at all. What's your try next time for that one?
Well, again, I think I might well say, I might go back to that feels absolutely terrible. I'd say, this can't be very good at sitting with you all day. Let's look at this, what it says. So it says, reduce pressure to disclose. Okay.
Interesting, yeah. So it's basically saying that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, maybe too direct. And it's interesting there where it's like you're being there's like a really good book I've read several times called Radical Candor. I don't know if you've read that.
I've heard the phrase. I haven't.
Which is
I've seen it satirized in a Dilbert cartoon.
Which is this like thing of like balance of directness and kindness, where you've probably got directness there, but maybe a bit more kindness in a way.
Well, I thought of saying, what can I do that would help you just now? So I was asking her for an idea, but that could also have been too challenging because she might have thought,
I don't know.
I don't know. She might would have panicked. So that might have, I'm sort of thinking, I'm trying to think of ways of, for want of a better word, playing a dead bat. So not to put much pressure on her, but to enable her to feel that she can talk. Because she could talk about these feelings at quite a great deal of length. And all you really want to do, I think, to begin with, is let that talking carry on. So she can kind of get comfortable telling you about it.
Yeah.
So, I could have said a lot, about sort of like, I really don't like the sound of this. This sounds awful. Maybe, there's a question about how are you okay at your desk? What's it feel like being back at your desk? Things like that. And then it does kind of quite an interesting thing because it gives you the opportunity to present yourself as not like the other managers. And I sort of, I'm a sympathetic fellow.
Yeah, it's interesting on like one of the things as I'm kind of reflecting through your feedback as well is this, like through our conversation, there's always been a sense of having to conclude or get to something, which is kind of part. Obviously, we set it up where this exercise has got ultimately that we know that there is information that is yet to be revealed, which is kind of skews it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also wonder, is again that balance of, is it okay to not, maybe all the employee needs is to listen and speak, and that's that in of it's, and to know that you're there. Do they need to reveal the information in a way?
So it's very interesting. It's just, again, so it's picked up me saying yeah in response to the question, is this just me? And of course I don't recall saying yeah as a whatever the word is.
Yeah, you used it as a filler word rather than
it's yes, and it's actually, I keep hesitating. I can't spell it. I can't understand it. It's just, no, hold on. Am I really? God, I'm sort of faffing like hell there.
Yeah,
I'm saying okay.
I mean, that was the switch between the toggling off the pause mode, I think. All right, let's. I know we're out of time. Maybe just last, I guess, having gone through that, just like last reflections on, if you were to jump back in and practice again, what might you be practicing next time? What would you do?
Well, I would certainly be practicing a lot more about the right kind of empathetic things to say, going more slowly. You said it's very good that when you intervened the first time, I did then slow down. It's interesting that my vocabulary was a bit one-dimensional. So we think about words that were sympathetic. Equally, being very careful what I actually say, so that they cannot be misinterpreted. So if I imply, so I did a question. I used an interview technique question where I just simply reflected back to her what she said, and that came across as basically saying that she was wrong. So I'd maybe be spending more time to create an atmosphere that's using the right kind of vocabulary that said, you are okay. You are okay with me, and I'm concerned about your feelings. And we can talk about what's happened to you once you kind of feel confident that you've got someone with you